Hi guys and welcome to Camera Cravings. In today's video we're going to be giving you a last chance to win this Zeiss lens. We'll be discussing the Canon R5 and R6 releases and talking about whether Sony's A7S III can compete and the most requested features that you guys have told me you want to see on that camera. Hi, I'm Andy, and if you're new here, consider subscribing and clicking that bell for notifications so you don't miss new videos as and when they come out. Today's the last video that you've got a chance to win this Zeiss lens. That competition was for my 500 subscribers milestone, and I'm going to be announcing the winner next week on next week's video. So if you haven't already, enter by subscribing to the channel and also leaving me a comment down below telling me what feature you'd like to see on the A7S III. Right, with that done, let's talk about Canon. So unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, you will have seen that Canon released two mirrorless cameras last week, the flagship R5 and the slightly lower priced R6.
And we'll talk about the R5 first, then the R6. Which modes on the R5 overheat? Let's just go over some of what overheating looks like with the R6, shall we?
So I'll link up that full interview with Pro AV so you can watch it for yourselves because it's quite interesting. But this is what overheating looks like with both of those cameras, and Canon's made it pretty clear that there are overheating issues with both cameras in 8K and 4K. And also, as you'll see from this table, point 1 below says time available for continuous shooting in 23 degrees C or 73 degrees Fahrenheit from a cold start. So that's not even in outdoor weather conditions, direct sunlight. So I think that's going to put off a lot of people from these cameras, and I will be getting hold of both these cameras. That's where Canon's at, and Sony is yet to respond, but we're expecting their A7S III to be announced any day now, probably in the next 2 weeks. Now, 2 weeks ago,
I did a video discussing the upgraded features that I thought Sony would need to include on their new camera to avoid people like me jumping from Sony back over to Canon. I've had probably about 300 comments on it, and a lot of them have been telling me exactly what you want to see from the camera. So I thought it'd be a fun video to make to list the kind of 10 most requested features that you guys want to see. So here's a quick recap of the R5 capabilities versus what we now know about the Sony A7S III.
So we now know that Sony is not targeting 8K by any means. They're looking at a good solid 4K image, with perhaps the possibility to get 6K external recording, but I think it'll probably be 4K limited on this camera, but just they're really going to push the frame rates. And yeah, from the leaked specifications that are coming out so far, it's shaping up to be one hell of a camera, and actually something that I think a lot of professionals and amateurs alike will want to buy if it's affordable for them. But as you can see on that list, no overheating and no recording time limits, which are two huge ones for anyone who's doing any kind of work where you don't want to be limited by the camera. So anyway, let's see what you guys have requested and whether we think Sony's going to deliver on those requests.
So the big one, which a lot of you have been saying, is that you want to see at least 4K 120 out of this camera. Ideally have some kind of 6K available, and some of you have wanted 8K, but most people I think are going to be happy with a really good 4K image and maybe the option to do 6K externally. And I think Sony is going to bring us that. I think from what we've seen, they're definitely going to be bringing 4K 120, whether that's internal or external recording. I think 4K 60 will be internal, and they're going to bring 10-bit 422. All of those things are an absolute must now that Canon's released those two bodies. The next one, which a lot of people have mentioned, is the ability to capture RAW and either B-RAW, so the Blackmagic RAW, or ProRes RAW. And most people, based on the comments, would be happy if that was recorded externally. It sounds like from the comments that have been made by some of their people that they're going to give it to us, but probably via external recording options rather than internal. The next one, which loads of you requested and I have to agree with, is a built-in ND filter of some sort, similar to what you get in Sony cinema cameras and also in some of the smaller RX100 cameras. I really hope we see this. I'm not convinced they're going to cannibalize their cinema line by including something like that, but if they do, it would be absolutely amazing. I think it would be a real selling feature that would stand this camera apart from the Canon ones. So the next one that everyone pretty much has requested is a fully articulating touchscreen. and the ability to use touch for AF and menus, and also a higher res EVF. So far we've seen leaked specs of the EVF, which is meant to be 9 million dot, which would be the world's highest resolution EVF so far. And if that is true, that would be amazing, and hopefully that means that the screen they provide is also really high resolution. But obviously both of those things are going to have a drain on battery life, so it'll be interesting to see how Sony deals with that and whether there's going to be options to reduce the quality or the power of those screens within the camera, put it into some sort of power save mode, similar to what they've done in previous cameras where you can actually turn it up and make it brighter for when you're shooting outside in bright sunlight. The next really big one, which loads of you requested and I would love to see also, is great in-body image stabilization. Sony really lags behind now on this, and what Canon seems to have done, I've not tested those cameras yet, so I can't tell you for definite, but from the footage I've seen, the 5 stops image stabilization combined with their image stabilized lenses seems to give 8 stops of image stabilization, which is absolutely amazing and really almost means that you don't need to have a gimbal. If Sony can do something similar, that would be phenomenal. Albeit it seems like it's going to be in a very similar packaged body to the A7R IV. So how they're going to make the stabilization a lot better, I don't know. One thing I have noticed with video I've seen from the Canon R5 is you are getting a lot of warpy stuff at the edges of the frame. The next one, which again is something that comes over from their kind of cinema line of cameras, is dual-based native ISO and also great low light capabilities. And I'd love to see that feature on these cameras. It'd be really useful for the commercial work I do.
So something that a lot of people mentioned, and it's relevant to the Canon releases, is improved codecs and higher bit rates to maximize quality, but whilst keeping workflow manageable. So one of the other things that's put me off the Canon R5 is the data rates that have been confirmed for the various modes, and I think they're going to do a firmware update pretty soon, possibly before the camera's released, that actually gives you lower data rates for some of those 8K and 4K modes. But at the moment you're going to use up a 1 terabyte card with 50 minutes of recording. Those 1 terabyte cards cost like £700-800 or dollars, so it's going to get expensive pretty quickly.
I think Sony's probably going to go down the route of 2 high-speed UHS 2 SD cards, and I'm really hoping and praying that they build in a feature either now or via firmware in the future that allows you to use the kind of new higher speed SD cards that are going to be coming hopefully this year or certainly next year. The next one which people talked about was implementing some kind of Venice color or S-Cinetone, so bringing the color science over from their cinema line. Again, whether they'll do this and cannibalize their cinema line a little bit remains to be seen, but it seems like Canon have done that to an extent, so maybe Sony will.
So if you don't know what I'm talking about with S-Cinetone, go to Philip Bloom's YouTube channel. He does some amazing videos, and he's done a video on the FX9 and he's got test shots. I think he might have footage you can download, but yeah, it would give you a good idea of exactly the benefits of S-Cinetone. The next one, which a lot of people talked about and is something I almost included in my last video, was just better ports and connectivity. So in particular, a lot of people requesting it has USB-C, both for charging and potentially output as well. And yeah, just better HDMI, hopefully moving away from HDMI micro to maybe a mini or even a full-size HDMI would be lovely. I've pre-ordered the R5 and I'm debating whether to keep that pre-order or cancel it, depending on what Sony brings out. But either way, I will be testing both the R5 and R6 against Sony's upcoming camera in the near future. So let me know what you think down below. Do you think Sony's going to bring the camera we all want, or are you thinking of jumping ship to Canon? Are you a Canon user already and staying with Canon, or maybe you will actually be jumping ship to Sony? Let me know, and I hope you found this video useful. I'm going to be covering the Sony release when it comes out, although I may be on holiday on the actual release day. Either way, I'll keep you guys up to date, and if you do want to win this Zeiss lens, remember to subscribe and comment down below. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Hopefully we'll know more of the Sony release by then and I can update you again. See you in the next one.